But why is she so tired? HHT is hereditary hemorrhagic telangiectasia. This is the disorder that caused the aneurysms in my lungs. People with hemorrhagic telangiectasia may experience fatigue and shortness of breath due to pulmonary aneurysms, which is what I have, and internal bleeding, like gastrointestinal small bleeds internally causing anemia. I have anemia, unspecified type. It could be due to my HHT, small continual loss of blood internally from my blood vessels and veins, or from some other cause. I'm getting iron infusions. That's why I'm getting iron infusions for the anemia. But HHT itself can cause chronic fatigue due to continual small blood loss leading to anemia and the shunting of blood and oxygen away from your heart and the processing of oxygen through the AVMs in your lungs. I also have a carnitine deficiency. Carnitine deficiency can cause a number of different things, including fatigue, muscle aches, and pains. I'm getting supplementation for carnitine. They do not know the cause of my carnitine deficiency. Carnitine is part of what your cells use in the mitochondria to create ATP, which creates energy. So, for some reason, my mitochondria are not processing carnitine properly to create energy. So I'm being supplemented in carnitine for what my body is not creating. Whether or not it's using the supplements, the same as whether or not it's using the carnitine that my body is creating, is another question that is yet to be resolved. MTHFR gene mutation can cause fatigue. They are ruling in or ruling out RA right now. I'm thinking I don't have it, but we're still trying to figure that one out. And that causes fatigue, but that might not be part of my equation. Mono. It's been clinically proven that mono leads in people to chronic fatigue syndrome. It's one of the viral infections linked to chronic fatigue syndrome. Whether or not you believe in chronic fatigue syndrome or not, according to my rheumatologist, the immune system sometimes goes into a permanent on-defensive mode with mononucleosis, where it believes that it is still under attack from the monovirus. Long after the monovirus has been killed in your body, your immune system is still working diligently 24/7 to try and combat a virus that no longer is there, causing you to be fatigued and run down for long after you should not be. So they have me on antivirals to try and re-trick my immune system into not having to work so hard all the time. Beyond that, the 2 gene mutations and the carnitine deficiency, not processing things in my mitochondria properly to create energy, the lung AVMs, and the anemia. I have a minor vitamin D deficiency, and vitamin D deficiency can give you achy muscles and fatigue. I'm also being supplemented on that. A cyst on the pituitary gland in my brain, and my neurologist informed me that it can interfere with my circadian rhythm cycle and cause me to feel fatigued because of its location in my brain. So all of those are reasons why I in particular am tired to the bone, exhausted all the time. Those aren't my only health problems, but they're the ones that lead to fatigue and muscle aches and pains and joint aches and pains. And I wish that I had something more straightforward, more simple to explain than genetic mutations and arteriovenous malformations and internal bleeding and things that would make it simpler when people say, well, you look fine. You look so normal and healthy. How can you not feel vital and energetic? Then the complex, convoluted multitude of reasons why I do not. And then we get down to the trickier situations, the labeling of fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. The main symptom is chronic fatigue, exhaustion. And they haven't labeled me chronic fatigue syndrome. They have labeled that as a symptom, primary symptom, due to all the other things combining to make me fatigued. And the fibromyalgia, that is my most recent label, which is secondary symptom. Second primary symptom of fibromyalgia is chronic fatigue. But they are a variety of different disorders that many people are not familiar with, and I do look normal. But you have to keep in mind, and this is, like I said, all this is withstanding the bipolar diagnosis, which may play a role, and accepting the final additional diagnosis of fibromyalgia, which secondary main symptom is pain and fatigue. The other medically provable reasons why I am so tired all the time, and why I have to will myself to work out and get through my days and do the things I'm supposed to do the way that I'm supposed to do them, and keep my chin up and participate. But like I have said in my other videos about invisible illness, I am not the only one who lives with conditions. There are numerous conditions that cause chronic exhaustion, and that's the primary thing I battle with. And people still you gotta lead your life and try to love your life and try to lead your life in such a way that you can be an inspiration to other people who are suffering with conditions, especially those that the general public or other people may lack an understanding of, so that you may be treated unfairly at times. Dysautonomia is an example of one of those obscure disorders that people don't understand, that is invisible, that you may be treated differently. And then more common ones like Lyme disease or lupus, where people don't understand. They say you look fine and you should be fine, and expect you to act in a way that you are incapable of being. But you still gotta live your life the best you can, and try to be happy, and try to be an inspiration for other people who are trying to find their own medical diagnosis, who are trying to fight their own medical battles, who are trying to get energy where energy is not, lead their life and do it with a smile on their face. So trust people. When you see someone pull up in the disability spot at at the grocery store and walk in, or get into one of those little wheelie carts and ride around the store, and they look normal, don't judge. You don't know if they have a habit of walking 4 to 5 feet, have a heart condition, and fainting and collapsing. You don't know if they have a pacemaker. You don't know if they have rheumatoid arthritis. You don't know if they have syncope, which is part of dysautonomia, which is fainting. You don't know. Be empathetic, be kind, be supportive. And if you have a friend or a family member who suffers with conditions, educate yourself on their conditions and their situation, so you don't get irritated because they look normal, that they're not acting normal, and just want them to buck up and get over it. You can't buck up and get over a medical condition. It has to run its course. You can do your best to take care of yourself and have the best attitude possible while going through it, but no positive attitude and is gonna shake off a medical condition. And it can really strain relationships if people don't understand. And the more vague and strange your diagnosis is, the more unfamiliar people are with your diagnoses, and the more healthy you appear externally, the more difficult it is for people to understand. Give them a little slack too. Try to educate, not react if people react negatively to you. Inform them. Don't go on the attack. And do your best to educate your friends and family to make relationships last longer and better. And take the best care of yourself possible and try to be an inspiration. And a good example of your condition for other people.